Well, it seems that every single person that decided to vote on which one goes first between the three choices I have on this list, the first one was I kind of expected this, but I didn't at the same time. So let's just get to the first one, shall we? The first one that we're doing is an IW or an Invincible Warrior invasion of Earth. What would happen if all of Earth's militaries combined together to fight off the IW? This is going to be an interesting day. This is going to be interesting. But the first thing we need to get through is what both nations are, or both fighting forces. Earth is basically, I think we all know, every single nation combined on Earth to create a unified defense force. But the IW is going to be less known to some of you, and I think I need to specify on some of the things they've done. Number one, they have fought the United Planets before, and in instances, they've held them off for quite some time. So the people that think the IW is an easy pushover, they're not. They're not an easy pushover. Another thing is that they're very good at buying outdated weapons from the United Planets, and the United Planets doesn't even have to know they're fighting the Earth. So this is going to be a fight that I think is going to be more fair to the Earth, or maybe not as fair. Who the fuck knows? But anyway, first thing we need to get done is numbers. Who has more soldiers? That goes to the Earth. As much as I don't like that, the numbers of the IW do not match the Earth's. Period. There's just no way. Earth has a military of 20.5 million personnel, while the IW has 17, 18 million at max. They're not going to win in the numbers department, and they're down by 10%. So the Earth gets its first W. Equipment. This one goes to the IW. They buy equipment from one of the most powerful countries of all of their time, the United Planets. They literally buy equipment that would be thousands of years more advanced than the Earth's. So there's really no contest in technological disparity there. Sure, Earth may have Typhoons, F-35s, F-117s, B-2s. That's not really going to matter when you can't fucking hit the pilots or the ships you're trying to hit. There's no way you can hit them. So how in the hell are Earth's fighters really going to stand a chance if you can't hit them? Earth's missiles for anti-fighters and all of that type of stuff barely go Mach 5. Mach 6, Mach 5.5, they'd be able to outspeed the missiles themselves. There's no way Earth's defenses would be able to hit them unless they hit them by surprise. That generally means low number of losses and very high amount of kills. So equipment will go to the IW. Compare the damage. Compare the damage between the two sides. We have to look at how much damage they caused to a similar ship or structure. And the best one to do is a carrier. The NATO and all Earth forces would probably be able to sink a carrier pretty fast, considering you have a vast normal of torpedoes, missiles, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, ICBMs, all that type of stuff specifically designed to destroy. But only a handful of it's really going to be able to sink a ship. But you have the IW who've actually managed to destroy dozens of armored divisions of the United Planets. So not only that, but sink entire task forces and even threaten and harass United Planet space forces. How in the hell are you going to win? That is almost no debate. That one goes to the IW. But it's not just yet. Cost inefficiency. The cost of the equipment that the IW have to buy is so expensive they can only have a fraction of what they want. So they asked for about 500,000 fighters. They only got 80,000 outdated fighters. That's not a lot, and that is not enough to fight the Earth. The Earth has over 400,000 fighters with almost 80,000 transports, basically. That is way too much for them to handle. There's no way they can handle all that. Even in my opinion, Earth stands a better chance at that. So I'm giving this one to the Earth because of the cost and efficiency. You can basically send maybe a $100 million aircraft to sink a ship that probably costs 10 times that. Not only that, but those fighters are probably going to do a lot better if they hit one of those outdated fighters. Because those are so expensive, once they get shot down, they can't rebuy another one. So cost and efficiency does, in fact, go to NATO. So I'm giving this to NATO and Earth in general. Discipline. Oh, this is going to be a tough one, but I don't know if any other side has an advantage over one another. The first thing I see is both sides have incredible discipline. Earth's forces would be able to hold out, but at the same time, you have the IW who've been fighting the most powerful country for a couple hundred years before then. They know discipline, but so does Earth's forces. In my opinion, between the two sides, I'm giving the equilibrium, not too big, not too small, but I think this is an even matchup in terms of discipline. That is going to matter in the end. That is going to matter. Morale. This is also going to be another hard one to depict. Morale's going to be a hard one. I don't know. I think NATO/Earth has a slight advantage in terms of morale. And let me explain to you why. The Earth at this point in time, if they know that an invasion is occurring or will happen in the long future, then I think the Earth is going to have a better chance at defending themselves by saying, hey, we have found that there's a pretty big invasion fleet coming to our planet. Why don't we get everyone hyped up to help us fight? And I think that is going to be the biggest key influencer. It is a matter of if NATO spots the invasion fleet before it strikes, which is pretty much likely. That is a likely deterrent. So I'm going to say that they're going to have more morale than the invading IW force. Because think about it. Why would you be invading a random planet in the middle of nowhere that has more resources than you, that has more people than you, that has more soldiers than you, and can easily replace them better than you? Why would you do that? There's no morale boost to that. And I think the only thing they really get a morale boost in is if they say, yeah, let's go fight. Like, bruh, even I know that's a little bit. So NATO takes a 3-2 advantage so far over the IW. Another one is an X factor, the environment and the weather. So the environment and the weather are going to also be another important factor here because it matters where you fight on who is going to win. Now, these guys have fought in the middle of space. These guys would easily cream and beat the fuck out of Earth's forces, no question asked. But the moment they step on this planet, what are they going to do? They're in a hostile world with hostile forces pretty much everywhere. And the moment they step out of their ships, they might just get shelled. Who knows? It is just a matter of where, like I said, it matters where you fight. And if you're fighting on Earth, NATO and Earth's forces are going to have a better shot at defending against the IW. So another thing is debated, but in weather, in proper weather, I think NATO is going to have a better force, Earth in general. I don't know why I keep saying NATO. Every single country on Earth would be fighting. But due to amount of variation in weather on Earth itself, IW forces, there'd be no way. There'd be no way to make sure that they have the right equipment for every single continent. There's just no way. So I'm giving this another NATO dub. So NATO is winning right now pretty well. But we're just going to see about that just yet. Maintenance. This one is going to go to NATO yet again. And here's why. I've already explained before that the IW can't replace their losses the moment they lose. NATO can. And that maintenance, high order of maintenance with the IW, I think that kind of makes it an equilibrium. Like, yeah, you have a higher maintenance, but once you lose it, are you going to rebuild it? Are you going to buy it again? No. So I think this is an equilibrium rather than a NATO victory. This is more of an equilibrium. So there's two ties. It's a 5-2 advantage. Sorry. Yes, 5-2 advantage. No, 4-2. Economy. This is where NATO takes a very, very big L, not a big dub. The IW is on a planet that has trillions of dollars easily, probably 400, 500 trillion dollars. So automatically their economy is going to be stronger than the Earth's economy, which is kind of already a given at this point. It's a space economy. Who the fuck would be like, oh wow, these guys are weak economies, bro. These guys got weak. They're weak, bro. But that's an easy dub for. The Earth's GDP is like $80 trillion right now at max. There's no way Earth could stand against a 400, 500 trillion dollar economy. There's just no way. There's just no way. And you have resources. This goes to the IW again. So now this is more of a 5-4. They've got 2 times where it's an equilibrium. So it's a 5. It is a 4-4 now. It seems it is a 4-4, and with 2 equilibriums. Resources goes to them again. So now it is tied. And the reason why, it's obvious. Space Empire, they could literally grab asteroids and mine from them. They could grab other planets and mine from them. They could gather or even trade with other planets like the United Planets. They could trade with the Osco Empire. They could trade with the NC. There's just, Earth can't do that. Earth cannot do that. Over time, it will show that the Earth does not have the resources to fight the IW in terms of raw materials. But at the same time, Earth as of right now has more raw materials than the IW. So now that I'm thinking about it, I think the IW only has a barely slight advantage here. Even the Earth can still fight them off, but it's a barely of an advantage. So I'm only giving this to them because they can just buy more. That's all they can do. If they didn't have that ability, it'd be an equilibrium. Technological research. This is going to be a pretty big deciding factor, because the next 2 on this list is going to matter and show who wins in this fight. As I've already said, it is a 4-4 tie with 2 separate times where we've tied in equilibrium. So now this is a tie right now, and it will matter the next 2 things that are on this list. Technological research. You may think that would be the IW victory, but it's not. The IW doesn't research anything of itself. It grabs what others research. So its research capability is going to lag behind, if not outright be nothing, comparison to Earth's research the moment they grab some fighters. Some maybe downed wingmen, some downed hydras. All of a sudden, now they can build those fighters with those shields too. So Earth is going to have a better shot. So now Earth takes the lead 5-4. What I'm about to say next is probably going to give Earth another fighting shot. Territory. The IW has barely any asteroid bases. They have only a handful of asteroid bases that they mine from. They have about 2 dozen. Comparison to the United Planets is over 1,700 planets and probably billions of asteroids. So in reality, the IW in this case would not have a territory advantage simply because of Earth's size. It is huge comparison-wise. It is even bigger than Iridia, like 80%. Iridia is like 80% the size. There's no way Earth is going to get taken over. If they can't even take over Iridia, what are they going to do to Earth? Even with better technology, I just don't see them taking all of Earth and being able to hold it for very long. So another NATO dub gets the case. And we have the final one, which basically puts the nail in the coffin here: industrial capacity. The industrial capacity of the entire planet is going to be better than all of Iridia and parts of the Osco Empire's industries themselves. This puts the nail in the coffin. Earth's forces win again in another. So the final tally mark of how many wins, what I'm seeing here is a 7-4 victory. What that means, it's a pretty big victory for NATO. But that doesn't mean they would win a real war. Let's look at the 5 things I've starred and to see who would win. Or should I say 6 starred? Because technically industrial capacity is going to matter in terms of an economic fight. Economy, that was won by the IW. Resources, barely by the IW. Remember when I said that they have more places they can get resources. Industrial capacity goes to NATO. Equipment would go to the IW, but morale would be in equilibrium, and discipline would go to an equilibrium. Actually, no, morale would have been partially NATO. So this is an equilibrium on that field. Looking at a 7-4 in equilibrium on the important factors, I have a good feeling NATO would have a pretty decent shot at defending themselves here. Looking at the other X factors, which are also pretty important, I'm going to make my final verdict right now. My final verdict is that NATO wins 6 to 7 times out of 10. Sorry, not NATO. Why do I keep saying NATO? It's Earth. Earth wins 6 to 7 times out of 10. The major reason why? Its numbers, how much it could produce, and how easily it can replace its losses. The moment the IW has no more troops to send, and here's the thing, they can't send every single one of their infantrymen. They can only send 20, 30% at max. So Earth will outnumber them about 300%. So, yeesh, that is not going to be good. That's not good. And NATO themselves alone could probably hold off the forces for quite some time. They're defending. They have good terrain. They know the terrain. I just don't see the IW winning a protracted conflict in this case. There's just no way. But I can say how they could win the war. Now let me explain to you how they could. Number 1, blockade the entire planet. As much as stupid as it sounds, it's actually a good idea. When you blockade a planet, you get close to the inner orbit of the planet, and you basically just orbit the planet. What that means is that Earth would have to attack you with nuclear ICBMs, which have proven to be not very effective, if inefficient at all. They're probably going to kill like 2-3 ships at max with all the nukes we have, due to the strong shielding and armor of the ships. At maximum, I'd say 30-40 ships. But when you have a navy that's even bigger than the United Planets is, that's nothing. And when you can just blockade the world, sure, you're going to take some heavy losses, but when you know that the Earth can only go into a certain amount of areas, you could basically bomb major areas and just completely get rid of military bases, killing hundreds of thousands to millions instantly, wearing down the populace's morale. They would probably know how to fight this war, but it's a matter of what they do when the matters most that is going to decide this war. This is similar to Vietnam and the United States, where one side has more troops, one side has better equipment. It is a matter of how you use your equipment along with the morale back home that is going to matter when it comes to this war. But in this instance, I just don't see the IW winning in a protracted conflict. If NATO protracts this as long as it can, Earth. If Earth can protract it as long as they can, I think we would have a great chance at surviving an invasion. But if they immediately waste all of their manpower and Earth just screws up multiple times where it mattered most, then the IW is probably going to take a pretty easy dub before just breaking the Earth's morale. But for the most part, I just don't see the IW winning in a protracted conflict for most of it. So to those who are saying that their military is super powerful, I mean, you're right. It is pretty powerful. They have equipment that's thousands of years more advanced. But what's that going to mean when the enemy picks up your weapons, proton weaponry, and starts shooting you with it? There's nothing you can do other than saying, well, we tried. Because it's only a matter of time before they realize that your weapons can be used against you. And when they figure that out, the IW is in deep trouble. That's why industrial capacity, cost comparedness, and cost efficiency is going to matter. That's why I said it would matter, because that would give the Earth an ultimate advantage in the long run. So my final verdict, NATO wins 6 to 7 times out of 10. Earth wins 6 to 7 times out of 10. I swear it's like a subconscious decision to say that. Earth wins 6 to 7 times out of 10. We would win in a realistic invasion. We would win most of the times. So that is why you never doubt the Earthlings, bro. Earthenborn are definitely like, imagine the Florida men of the galaxy. That's basically what we are. We're the Florida men of the galaxy because we don't give two fucks. But the next one that's going to be done, I think you guys are going to like. The next one that's going to be done, as I have on my list here, is what would happen if the new coalition fought against the UNSC. The new coalition next time will be fighting the strongest force of that known time to the human race. I will see you in the next video. I hope it's Monday or Tuesday. One of those 2 days, that next video will come out because I need to do my research on both UNSC weapons and the new coalition weapons and see just how much powerful or how much less powerful they are in comparison. Stick to that. And I'll see you guys later.